Hi, I'm Vanessa from ratings.com. Today, we're diving into the world of wired audiophile in-ear monitors, or IEMs. There was a point in time when collecting these types of buds was a more costly hobby. But today, thanks to a new wave of Chi-Fi, or Chinese high-fidelity manufacturers, almost anyone can own a pair of IEMs that deliver stellar sound quality. Truthear are one such brand. They make budget IEMs and portable headphone amps for the discerning audiophile. To date, they've released 2 in-ear models in collaboration with renowned IEM tuning expert Crinacle, the original Truthear Crinacle ZERO and the red variant that was released shortly after. So, what differentiates these two? History is littered with choices between red and blue. The headache of choosing between Pokemon Red and Blue for the OG Game Boy, the struggle of deciding between Red and Blue Gatorade. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue buds, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red buds, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I am offering is the truth here, nothing more. Sadly, we couldn't get Lawrence Fishburne to return our calls, so we're stuck doing this product comparison ourselves. But what if I told you that you don't need his slick shades to spot some obvious aesthetic differences between both buds? Both are made of a similar 3D printed resin, but one sports a striking iridescent blue decorative panel, and the other is decked out in a crimson, herringbone-esque pattern. Only the red variant comes with a 10 ohm resistor though, which is capable of altering the sound profile for a more bassy sound. Of course, both have a slightly different, wistful-looking anime waifu on the box. Visually speaking, this is where the differences end though. The Truthear logo is embossed on the side, and both pairs feature the same braided cable. They come with 7 pairs of ear tips too. 6 silicone ear tips of varying sizes and 1 set of foam ear tips. Both pairs of buds are comfortable enough to wear for extended periods of time after you've been able to find the right set of ear tips. The cables even wrap around your ears to provide additional stability. They're similarly well built, with the only potential weak point being the cable and its connectors. Still, the cable is detachable, and it's easy enough to pick up a replacement if you're accidentally a little callous with it. There are lots of aftermarket cable options that you can purchase too, if the angle jack isn't to your liking. While the waifus on the box might be different, you'll get the same faux leather carrying pouch with both of them, which can be used to transport the buds wherever you go. On the inside, both buds feature a similar dual driver design, with a 10mm dynamic driver that handles bass frequencies, and a 7.8mm driver for the mid and treble ranges. That said, Crinacle maintains that the voice coils and crossover circuits have been modified in the red version, resulting in a totally different tuning, but more on this later. There's not too much to say when it comes to connectivity. Needless to say, if you're looking for everyday earbuds for exercise or commuting with modern features like wireless connectivity or tap controls, you're barking up the wrong tree. Or down the wrong rabbit hole, we should say. These buds are old-fashioned. You can only use them wired via their detachable cable with a 3.5mm jack. Still, this can be freeing in its own way. No more relying on batteries and their planned obsolescence. Many people find an in-ear fit more comfortable than wearing over-ear headphones too, and it's definitely less sweaty. Technology still hasn't gotten to the point where we can transmit audio signals wirelessly anywhere near as well as with a wired connection, so a wired IEM lets you focus on the most important thing, the sound. Speaking of which, time to shift our attention towards the most hyped aspect of the Truthear Crinacle collaboration, the sound. The original Zero was tuned with the Harman 2019 IEM target curve in mind. This curve was developed by conducting blind studies to determine what kind of sound was pleasing to the average person. Harman's target response curves have been used as the basis for many other target curves, including our own. As you can see from the graph, the original Zero are pretty closely aligned with our target curve, with the exception of the bass range, which is boosted. As a result, we find these IEMs to have a pretty excited sound. The powerful booming bass is great if you like kicks and 808s to be super in your face, but it can be too much for some ears, and it tends to overshadow the low mids. The rest of the mid-range is well balanced though, so vocals sound natural and relatively forward in the mix. The treble range is great too, sounding bright and detailed without being fatiguing. And in the red corner, the retuned variant offers what Crinacle describes as a more palatable sound. In practice, this means a more reined-in bass response that's actually closer to our own target curve. The mid accuracy is improved too, and is virtually flat across the entire range. One major point of departure though is the treble response, which is a little more erratic than with the original Zero. Here, the mid-range is quite veiled, so sibilants can come off a little dull and lacking in sizzle. The lower part of the range is nicely balanced though, to ensure vocals and lead instruments sound smooth and articulate. A major selling point here though is the inclusion of the 10 ohm resistor with the red version. This little gizmo can be connected to the 3.5mm connector on the cable, and provides a bit of bass oomph and a smattering of extra low mids for more robust sounding snares and increased upper harmonics on bass lines. For those who aren't sure how much bass they can handle, it's a great solution to alter the sound profile in a subtle way and gives you immediate customization option. It's worth noting that using it will decrease the overall volume somewhat though. Elsewhere in the sound department, there's not much to differentiate between these two models. While Crinacle advertises that the red offers a lower distortion performance, it's not something that was super obvious in our tests, and the red scored marginally worse than the original Zero. As you'd expect from in-ears, the soundstage is very small and closed off sounding too. It goes without saying, given that neither of these buds have an integrated mic, ANC isn't something you'll find here. That said, both sets of buds are able to provide a good amount of passive isolation due to their in-ear fit, especially when it comes to those higher frequency noises. We actually found that the red version was able to provide more attenuation across the entire range when using the foam ear tips, which might be due to a slightly different tip material. Given the deep seal that they form, both buds also leak minimal amounts of noise, so there will be no judgments from your coworkers if you feel the need to blast Enter Sandman at full volume to get through the workday. So there's not much more to say here beyond giving our verdict on which of these buds takes the cake. While the original Zero offers an enticing, exciting sound profile, there's a lot to be said for the retuned red. Plus, having the additional flexibility of a 10 ohm impedance adjuster means you can always switch to a more bass-heavy sound in a jiffy. Does this retuning and extra accessory come at a price though? Well, yes, but it's all for the paltry sum of $4.99. For us, that's a bit of a no-brainer. So unless you have a particular allegiance to the color blue, the Zero Red are well worth it, especially considering that they cost about 1 oat milk latte more in price. Even in the comparatively low-cost chi-fi domain, there's not much to rival the Zero Reds for price either. If you can find the Moondrop Aria online, they offer a more comfortable fit and a comparable sound profile for a similar price, although they have a much more veiled treble response than the Zero Red. They come with a more premium case, but aren't currently sold on Amazon in the USA. Otherwise, Crinacle has collaborated with other IEM manufacturers, like 7Hz, to offer lower-priced IEMs, though we haven't been able to test them just yet. Well, that's all for our review of the Red Pill and Blue Pill IEMs. If you'd like to learn more or compare them yourself, you can follow the links in the description below. Until next time, I'm Vanessa from ratings.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. Goodbye. Thank you. Especially considering that they cost about 1 oat milk latte more in price. Ooh, that was tough. Especially considering that they cost about 1 oat...